I'm noticing I'm going a little longer than I'm meaning to through these devotionals. I'm just getting excited about God's word, and it's hard for me to stop sometimes, and I get that. So again, I'm going to try to keep things maybe a little shorter, but just send in questions. It would kind of help me to do that. Anyways, um, Judges 9 through chapter 10, verse 5. There's a change to the cycle. A judge arises here, but is not called by God to do so. He takes the role for himself. Abimelech, his name, my father is king. Gideon's illegitimate son. He's born in Shechem. That's important in a way because God had appeared to Abraham at Shechem. At that point, he was called Abram in Genesis chapter 12. It's also the first place in Canaan to have an altar built to Yahweh and was the first place Israel worshiped after entering the promised land under Joshua's leadership, Joshua chapter 8. So, what happens here, the best analogy I can give would be like history of the United States, right? Abraham Lincoln gives the famous Gettysburg Address, and abolition of slavery, freedom. There's a declaration that's made there. It's kind of a turning point in a mindset. Well, what happens here in Judges chapter 9 would be akin to that if the United States government would go, you know what, we're going to reinstitute slavery legally and make it a legal thing. And they did it at Gettysburg. Basically, kind of what happens at Shechem, what happens under Abimelech is kind of like an undoing of some good stuff that had happened previously of what God had done and God had declared. Abimelech gets the people of Shechem to support his bid for leadership. He hires mercenaries and begins by killing his half brothers, the descendants of Gideon. He doesn't want any threat to his claim of leadership. Again, my father is king. It kind of says how Gideon kind of practically lived out. I'm going to take that mantle from my dad. His plan was to be king, not because of God, but by his own doing. One of his half brothers escapes, Jotham. His name is Yahweh is blameless. So we've got Yahweh is blameless and my father is king. Painting up kind of the picture of what power should be relied on, self or Yahweh. Jonathan tells a story. Look, you're going to reap the kind of fruit from the leader you've chosen. If you've chosen a good leader, he'll bless you. If you've chosen poorly, you're going to get burned. The people of Shechem get burned. After 3 years, they decide, we've had enough of Abimelech. There's a better prospect. We'd like him to be leader more. Word about this, this leader worships at the same altar Abimelech had. He uses the same arguments Abimelech had over who should lead. Abimelech, not going to stand for this. And he attacks. He conquers and he kills the people. He salts the fields to make crops difficult, if not impossible, which, by the way, was a practice forbidden in the law of Moses to do even to foreign nations. Abimelech even takes revenge on those who took refuge in a tower. He takes the thirst for vengeance further than his dad Gideon ever did. Then he goes to another town's tower that was kind of a place of refuge. And Abimelech attacks it, but a woman drops a large stone on Abimelech, critically wounding him. But it'd be culturally shameful for him to die by the hand of a woman, so he has a servant, kill him. Now, one thing to note, between Judges chapter 8, verse 34, and chapter 10, verse 6, the covenant name for God is not used. But that doesn't mean that God is absent. It's highlighting that the people were not looking to live in covenant, not relating to God in covenant in any way. God was being pushed out of the nation's life, but that doesn't mean that God was absent. God was working to bring about the destruction of the violent, evil ruler. Much of it through just giving the people the just deserts the fruit of a violent leader. Abimelech and Shechem, they are a person and a town who reaped what they sowed. And then we see a next judge, Tola, who, I'll just mention this, Tola didn't deliver Israel from a foreign nation. Tola delivered Israel from itself. The spiral of what is happening here continues to go down and down and down, further away from the identity of being a faithful covenant people that God had invited Israel to be. May I just say that the greatest threat to the church today is not the world around us. It's not a competing worldview. The greatest threat to the church, the greatest threat to God's people, have always been God's people, and whether or not we will remember and stay faithful to the one true God. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you. May the Lord be gracious to you. And today would you know his peace. God bless.